challenge. Watch Pinocchio.
Hell no, your ass tweaking, Jigsaw.
Shaw, I won't play a game.
Oh, you don't play around.
Yeah, I'm a big step around this play game.
Where'd you move here from, dumb?
Out of your friends, which are you? Truck freak, crazy ass. The fight.
You know, I hate having my ideas stolen. I had this idea planned for months, where I would go over the recent Pinocchio obsession, explore how and why you would want to reinterpret Pinocchio for the modern age. It was a really cool and awesome idea, only for some guy named Jacob Geller to do it first before I could even start work on it. Anyway, so I will be contacting my lawyer, Pinocchio, one of the most iconic fairy tale characters of all time. Pinocchio was written in 1883 by a guy who really hated children. I mean, what is there to say that it hasn't already been said by Jacob Geller? The point is, Pinocchio is iconic. You know about Pinocchio. And apparently so did everyone else in the 2020s. Because there's like a billion Pinocchio things coming out. You had the live-action Disney remake, the direct-DVD Paulie Shore movie, Guillermo del Toro stop-motion movie. There's even a Pinocchio horror movie coming out. Jesus Christ, what's next? A South Korean Pinocchio Souls-like? Oh shit, that's South Korean Pinocchio Souls-like. Yeah, there's been a lot of Pinocchio stuff lately. And honestly, I couldn't tell you why. But that won't stop me from talking about them. I'll be talking about Pinocchio the True Story, the live-action Disney remake, the Netflix Guillermo del Toro stop-motion movie, and Lies of P. We'll be diving into which one is the best, which one is the worst, and figure out why the fuck everyone wants to adapt Pinocchio.
Holy shit. This hot garbage.
You know, I was really hoping that this would be the fun one, you know what I mean? Especially after the whole meme that came out in 2022.
Father, tell me, when can I leave to be on my own?
Oh, embarrassing.
But, nope, it wasn't, because turns out this movie's a boring piece of shit. I mean, yeah, what did I expect, you know? Blame me. Like, I'm sure nobody expected a good movie out of this thing, so it's crazy the movie doesn't even reach those expectations. I really hope this film would be, like, funny bad, or at least so bad it would make me lose my hope in humanity. But no, it's just genuinely boring. It's not even good at being one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Which it is, but I'm gonna forget about it in T-2 seconds. So this is a Russian foreign movie, and the first movie to release in the Pinocchio craze. So yeah, the knockoff actually came first. Now there is an English dub, which was then partially redone when it came to the States, with a Paulie Shore of all people playing as Pinocchio. And yeah, he does a fucking awful job.
Senor Mangiofoco, thank you so much for the generous offer, but well...
You can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
No wonder this fuckwad fell off so hard. Jesus Christ. They also put in Tom Kenny as Geppetto. I guess because that's a name you know. But that's pretty much like everything interesting about this thing, because there genuinely isn't a whole lot else at all. Listen, I have ADHD and I take Vyvanse for it. This film was so boring, it bypassed my fucking medication and legitimately made me have trouble paying attention to it because it was so fucking boring and made me do ADHD things like play Black Ops Cold War instead. For one thing, this is easily the most far-removed Pinocchio movie. There's no Jiminy Cricket or Blue Fairy or Tommy Angelo from Mafia. In their place, though, you do get a donkey and some random bitch. But if you're like me and have seen one too many of these fucking animated movies, you pretty much already know the whole plot. It's a bunch of cliches masquerading as an actual story. Masqueraded under a public domain story. There are things like underdeveloped villains and really bad plot twists involving them.
All this time, I thought I was looking for criminals. But it turns out I found my own daughter.
Dude, what the fuck is going on?
Or like Pinocchio straight up having a love interest. Why does Pinocchio have a love interest? I don't know. Who cares? There are also weird pop culture references that come out of nowhere.
Maybe Leonardo. He'd grow up to be a selfish actor, or an artist, or a turtle who only cares about pizza.
Like, what is the joke here? What is the point of this? The film straight up feels almost AI generated. Like, there's no way a human being could have made this. I've had people request this movie to me, but honest to God, I have no clue how I can review this. Because there's nothing interesting or funny to say. The movie is genuinely so boring. The only funny thing about the movie is the voice acting, which is completely atrocious, and made even funnier with the god-awful lip syncing.
You really think so?
Of course I do. You'll be a star someday, no doubt.
Suck my dick, you bitch. Put it in your throat and lick them balls.
But everything else is so uninteresting. I just didn't care. This is easily the worst Pinocchio movie I've seen in this video. Like, this is a 0 out of 10 movie. This is terrible. But it's not even the fun kind of 0 out of 10. It's just, like, boring. This movie is a complete non-starter. Next entry.
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airway.
Disney's live-action Pinocchio remake is slightly better than that knockoff bootleg one. Because where Pinocchio: A True Story is a 0 out of 10 movie,
which is why I'm feeling a 0 on this.
Robert Zemeckis' live-action Disney Plus exclusive Pinocchio remake is a 1 out of 10 movie.
Feeling a light to decent 1 on this project.
Wow, much more impressive. Good job. We're really getting somewhere with this one. Now, the original Disney Pinocchio, which I did rewatch for this video, is a film that's visually impressive and narratively very simplistic. I do have a lot of nostalgia for it. I used to love this movie as a kid, so it's kind of sad that the remake somehow takes a giant steaming dump on it. First of all, the acting fucking sucks. It's dog shit. Especially Jiminy Cricket. Who voiced this guy? He does a terrible... Joseph Gordon-Levitt!
Hey, who's telling this story? Me or you? Well, who are you?
That shit is fucking trash, dog.
Dude, what happened to you? Biggest fall off ever. Was it the Smiths? Was it Morrissey?
Oh, mother, I can see a Chinese man in front of me.
Furthermore, Tom Hanks, who I normally like as an actor, sucks dick as Geppetto. He's awful. He lacks that warm charisma of the original. He's way less lively and fun than the original guy. Also, who casted the Blue Fairy? She looks like the reason Kanye West wrote 808s in a Heartbreak. Pinocchio story goes to stop watching this shit.
Kanye West? You need a mint for your Kanye breath. And when I'm done with you, there's
I miss the old Kanye.
She looks like a future guest on the Eric Andre show.
Can I shave male pattern baldness into your hair? It'll be like a fashion statement.
Yeah. Also, the Lampwick kid is terrible.
You were on the corner, so it got collected.
We gotta make this kid play Mafia or something, like Jesus Christ. Come on, this kid's gotta really get into it, like, Paulie, give me the taxi, Paulie.
How you doing, Instagram? It's Big Time Tommy. You know how I get down on a Friday?
The animation was also much more lively in the original too. In this movie, it's so weird and floaty and gross. It's not even realistic. It's just so jarring. Also, like the last Pinocchio movie, there are also weird pop culture references. But this time, it's because Disney owns everything, even though it makes no sense for the time period. Why is Woody the Cowboy and Who Framed Roger Rabbit here? They don't even have TVs in this world.
Note to self. I don't want to live.
There's also a new female character who fucking sucks. I forget everything about her. But I hope whoever wrote her gets outed from the industry and never writes again. In fact, any and everything that tries to expand the original story falls flat on its face and sucks ass. There are multiple new dog shit songs in here, and one of the lines in one of them is Pinocchio, Pinocchio, holy smokio.
Pinocchio, Pinocchio. Holy Smokey-o.
I haven't heard a line that embarrassing since,
Wagwan Delilah.
Yeah, that one.
Pinocchio, holy Smokey-o. Pinocchio, holy Smokey-o. Pinocchio, holy Smokey-o.
Well, everything that just copies the original does it way worse, lacking the fun, liveliness, and often even the point of the original. The perfect example is Pleasure Island. Like, Pleasure Island is meant to be an ornery place, but also alluring. It's meant to be what a kid would think is cool for an adult to do, like smoking cigars and just breaking random things. And Pinocchio's supposed to be kind of into it because, you know, that's the point. He's giving into his temptations, like the movie said earlier.
Now, you see, the world is full of temptations.
Temptations? Being bad's a lot of fun, ain't it?
And the remake Pinocchio is reluctant, like he's like, I'm unsure about people breaking things. And furthermore, they replaced cigars with a poorly CGI'd root beer. Why couldn't they just use real fucking root beer? Or better yet, why not use cigars? That was the point. It's a thing the kids think is an adult thing to do. Do they think kids will start smoking because of Pinocchio? Do they think we're fucking stupid? I literally watched Pinocchio as a kid, and as a kid, I could understand, okay, these kids are smoking, and that's a bad thing. That's the entire point. That's the joke. Why are there black shadow monsters in Pinocchio now, by the way? Why is there a scene of Pinocchio sniffing a horse shit? Why is the color grading fucking terrible? Hey, you know what I love? Not being able to fucking see anything in a movie. I've seen more vibrant colors in a Silent Hill game than this. I'm looking for Silent Hill? You wouldn't happen to know the right way, would you? Yeah, it should be on the Pinocchio set. Why does the movie end on the worst cop-out I've ever goddamn seen?
People say he was transformed into an honest-to-goodness real boy. Pinocchio is as real as any real boy could ever be.
Or vibration.
I'm gonna kill myself tonight.
This movie is terrible. It's a complete downgrade in every single way. This movie has no reason to exist, nor does it really even give me one. Everyone involved in this should be embarrassed of this thing. This movie is a terrible 1 out of 10.
I woke up feeling like Kojima.
Woke up feeling like Kojima.
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is the first Pinocchio that dares to answer the question, what if for the first time in human history we made a good Pinocchio story? Gotta love how all the other Pinocchio works, including the often cruel original, are all like, hey kids, obey your parents and teachers and do good. Meanwhile, del Toro's Pinocchio is all like, hey kids, maybe you shouldn't always obey the people that are above you, because chances are one day your teacher will be born on April 20th, 1889 and hate Jews.
A fella went by the name of Adolf Hitler.
Top that one off with plenty of existential dread, and you have Del Toro's Pinocchio. There's no surprise here, this is the clear winner of the group. Del Toro's Pinocchio is absolutely fantastic. Not only does this movie eclipse the Disney-fied Pinocchio from the 1940s, but it even in a lot of ways eclipses the original book. The film deconstructs and tears down and reinterprets both versions of the story in a way that inadvertently ends up actually refining it. The original Pinocchio had him as a very ornery, irredeemable dickhead. It's something the Disney version all but completely threw out. The Del Toro version, however, brings it back and ironically creates the best version of the character. It brings back that ornery shithead a part of him, but in a much more realistic way, like the dude's just a little fucking kid.
Brayden, did you give this note to Kevin G?
What the Sigma?
Shut up. Jeez Louise, don't crash out, Unk.
Like, yeah, he's annoying and selfish and kinda dumb. He's a fucking little baby. But there's also a balance. He's empathetic, and sometimes does the wrong thing to try and better the people around him. The kid does not understand the world at all, which is relatable. I relate to that. Pinocchio is, at long last, a really well-balanced character. One who actually learns morality and grows up as hard as it may be. And someone who has very clear and visible character flaws, but also ones that are constantly tested throughout the movie. This is the first Pinocchio story that acknowledges that there's a gray area of morality. Literally, the way Pinocchio escapes at a monstro at the end is by lying. The subtext could not be more clear. Furthermore, the way the movie reinterprets Geppetto is brilliant too. No longer is he really a loving, caring, but one-dimensional father figure. He's now a heartbroken and miserable man. No longer does he lovingly and meticulously build Pinocchio, but rather, heartbroken from the loss and death of his own son, he instead drunkenly and angrily builds this unfinished monstrosity. The building of Pinocchio is more like Frankenstein's monster than anything. It's also the hardest scene in the movie, not gonna lie. For a good majority of the movie, he's reluctant to embrace Pinocchio, and while his reasons aren't exactly justified, they are understandable. It's very much a Joel from The Last of Us kind of thing. As a result, the film's focus is very much on Pinocchio and Geppetto, and this is for the better. These are two flawed characters for very different reasons, and their dynamic is really interesting and really great. This is also a very existential movie, discussing the importance of life and valuing life, and in general, what it means to be human. I find it really interesting how the shitty Disney remake and Del Toro's Pinocchio have a shockingly similar ending, where the Disney remake you don't see him turn into a real boy, but instead Jiminy explains, oh, maybe he's real in your head. Similarly, Del Toro's Pinocchio has him not turning into a real boy at all, with a very similar narration by the character of Sebastian Cricket. But Del Toro's Pinocchio actually has a point to make, because Pinocchio does turn into a real boy in a metaphorical, emotional sense. He briefly gains mortality and faces against death, which is absolutely what the film also explores. And the point is, Pinocchio is a real boy not by becoming flesh and bone, but rather by valuing life and what he experienced in life, and what he chooses to pass on as he goes into the world. Hey, you know, this sounds a lot like Metal Gear Solid 2. Wow, what a coincidence. No wonder Del Toro and Kojima are good friends.
The one thing that makes human life precious and meaningful, you see, is how brief it is.
And if you're not scared of death, how can you value life? and life is pretty fucking fragile right now.
That's right, boys. Pinocchio is the first Strand-type kids film, aside from Klonoa, maybe. Also, gotta love how Pleasure Island is now straight up a Nazi military recruitment camp. Yeah, this is an anti-war story now, and the Nazis are here. And this is a great creative choice. Again, showing the idea that you do have a higher-ups that are completely corrupt and awful people. Funny enough, a while back, I talked about a movie called The Nutcracker, The Untold Story, which was another public domain property turned into a modern-day family film, which also had a bunch of Nazi and World War II imagery in it. But in contrast, that movie didn't do anything interesting with it. So in contrast, Pinocchio is doing it right. You can tell, I loved this thing. I thought it was incredible. I really wish this kind of movie existed when I was a kid, because I really could have used it, honestly. And yes, the animation is great too, but honestly, I don't need to tell you that. You can look at the screen yourself. This is the perfect Pinocchio story. I recommend this thing. Watching this movie after watching 2 shitty Pinocchio movies was a real treat, honestly. It really is that good of a movie. I'm not shitting you. The only complaint I have is that the song numbers are weak, and that's it. This is a peak motherfucking fiction. Please watch it. Again, this is all really funny. We go from a bootleg piece of shit to another piece of shit to suddenly straight up art house. Oh my god. There's no way the next Pinocchio adaptation could be crazier than this. Anyways, y'all heard of Dark Souls? So, just to let you know, I didn't beat Lies of P for this video. First of all, because the game is 30 hours long, which normally wouldn't be that much of a problem if it weren't for the second reason I couldn't beat this game for this video, which is that Lies of P is a Souls-like, same genre as Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, etc. Now, there's just one problem with that. I am terrible at Souls-like. Also does not help the fact that I played for over 6 hours, and I'm somehow still less than a fourth into the game. Look, I've played enough to make an opinion on it. I think this will be good enough. At least I play video games, unlike most video game journalists. Anyways, I think Lies of P is a really fun game. It's a really good, enjoyable Souls-like, and one of the 2 non-From Software Souls games that's actually worth playing. Ew, who left this copy of 2014 Lord of the Fallen on my table? Ew.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Gameplay-wise, as a Souls-like, this is a great game, with plenty of new, interesting mechanics that keep the game fresh and fun, on top of a really incredible atmosphere. You can tell Bloodborne was on everyone's mind when this thing was being made. Make sure you embrace this one, fellow Souls folk, because this one is the closest you'll ever see to Bloodborne being on PC. I also love how Pinocchio is now straight up a twink now. Oh, hell nah. They done twinkified the Pinocchio puppet. So as a game, yeah, this is really great, but as a story, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. When it comes to Souls-likes, especially from software ones, I feel like I'm someone who more so appreciates them more than actually likes them. Don't get me wrong, I adore the environmental storytelling, and I really appreciate the poetic and often esoteric lore these things have. But I'm someone who likes well-defined characters. I like a story to entertain me and get me enthralled in it. I'm not, however, the biggest fan of standing around and watching someone talk through the subtitles. I like large amounts of interesting esoteric lore. It's just, I like getting into it after the original story hooked me first. What I'm saying is, Soulsborne and Souls-like storytelling is not really my cup of tea. It's kind of like how I feel a random person would feel if they walk into a modern art museum. They'd appreciate it, sure, but they wouldn't quite get it. That's how I feel about Lies of P's narrative. A lot of the characters feel more conceptually interesting, but don't really do anything interesting. There's really not a lot of actual character development in this thing. And yeah, I know, that's the whole point, that's the whole gimmick. I get it. But while there are some cool twists on the Pinocchio lore in this, like the donkeys being a giant gang, for example, and again, the environmental storytelling is fantastic. And there's even some choices you can make that are really tough. Wait a minute, hard choices that are actually hard? Oh my god. god, that's crazy. The story is overall just kinda too apathetic. There's too much exposition and not a lot that actually happens. Again, I know that's the point, but I like well-defined characters and stuff. I don't like dialogue vague posting. This is very hard to review as a story because it's not my cup of tea. I will say I do, again, appreciate its attempts. Clearly a lot of effort went into this, but it's just not for me. And that's this game's biggest setback. To truly really be into this game, you have to be into Soulsborne games, which is a very strong but very niche audience. I mean, obviously anything's better than the first two movies we talked about here, especially if that thing is Dark Souls, but narratively, it's not my thing. Again, no hate or disrespect. I appreciate what this game tries to do, but it's part of a genre whose storytelling was never really for me. So therefore, this game's storytelling isn't for me. But hey, the gameplay's still fucking great. At least when it lets you win sometimes. So here's the question, why so much Pinocchio? Well, the answer for the most part is easy fucking money. But also, I think Pinocchio speaks to us on a very personal level. It's a story of right and wrong. It's about growing up, wanting to be accepted as a real human being. There really is something to explore there, and whether I get it or I don't get it, what's important is that there is a real boy amongst the pleasure islands of the world. People like Robert Zemeckis and the Russians that made that True Story movie are simply like the people whoring out Pinocchio trying to get money off this property. While meanwhile, people like Del Toro and the South Koreans behind Lies of P do something way more interesting with the idea of the character. And I can't help but feel like that might be because they've seen themselves in Pinocchio. They want to express that through art, through this character. And thankfully, with the power of public domain, they can. And that's why Pinocchio will kind of live on forever. The concept speaks to us as human beings, as artists. We see ourselves in this little wooden boy, and we'll reshape him to fit our times, our standards, our emotions. That's why I think Pinocchio has stayed around for so long. He reminds us of ourselves, and that's all he needs to stay around for the rest of time. And that's the video. I'm gonna go jack off now or something.
Fuck you in the lanes you came with. Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch. Nah, throw that shit in fifth. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue hundreds. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the seat laid back. Baby, gon' relax, yeah. Hey, they don't know the half, yeah. No matter what happened, I got your back. Baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah. We can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn. Hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Yeah, we can fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn. Hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Hey, I'm with a dark-skinned girl on a Sunday. That's that Black Sabbath. She put them ones all down on a Hyundai, and she had to have it. Baby, that's the facts, yeah. That's the facts, yeah.
And if I see a Chinese man, I'll break his fucking head to watch him bleed out. Oh yes, the privilege would always be mine. Headed for double-decker bus, crashed into a Chinese man. I cheer at his funeral and I would feel so divine.
Am I doing it right, baby?
Uh-huh.
I just be killing people. I just be running people over. I just be creating panic. I just be playing Lego GTA. I just be playing Lego GTA. I just be playing Lego GTA. I just be playing Lego GTA.
It's the 4th of July. Yeah, we know it's true. The colors of the flag are red, white, and blue.
I need you to take a picture with your ass out and your back bent in with your pussy.